Hi, this is Sir Amboy and welcome to my lecture series in differential equations. In the previous topic, we have learned how to find integrating factors which enabled us to solve non-exact differential equations. Now, in this episode, we will study an important type of DE called linear differential equations, or specifically first order linear DEs, or yung tinatawag natin na FOLDE. Sulat natin dito, FOLDE. Ayan, first order linear differential equations. We will encounter numerous applications of this DE in Module 3. And on the other hand, Module 4 is all about higher order linear differential equations. And since Module 2 pa lang naman tayo, ang pag-aralan na lang muna natin is yung mga first order linear differential equations. So I prepared 5 example problems, and after that, I'll give you a problem that would serve as an exercise. Okay? So if you're ready, let's begin. If you recall, in Module 1, we learned that a linear differential equation can be expressed in this way. So we have here the differential equation a sub 1x y prime plus a sub o x y equals f of x. So this is a linear DE, linear in the variable y, and here a1 and ao are coefficients. And here, at the right-hand side, we have a function that is purely in terms of the independent variable x. So this is a linear DE, first order, because of y prime. Now, we can express this differential equation in what we call the standard form of the first order linear DE. So how does the standard form of a first order linear DE look like? Kinakailangan ang leading coefficient ay 1. So para maging 1 yan, kinakailangan i-divide natin itong buong differential equation ng a1. Para ang matira na lang dito is y prime. And then, yung a sub o, x, at yung a1 of x, pag pinag-divide natin, i-simplify na lang natin as p of x. Okay? So when I divide the entire equation by a sub 1, x, in order to get the standard form, ang matitira na lang dito is y prime. Then yung a sub o x divided by this expression, ang matitira na lang is yung simplified expression na p of x, and then the dependent variable y equals yung f of x. Kapag dinivide ko ng a sub 1x, gawin na lang natin simply as q of x. Thus, this equation represents the standard form of a first order linear DE. So, kung ang iyong differential equation ay linear, first order, you can always express it in this form. Again, this is important because this is the standard form of the first order linear DE. Let's read it once again. Y prime plus p of xy equals q of x. So, yung unang term, y prime lang, yung dependent variable, at saka yung derivative niya. Yung pangalawang term is yung dependent variable, wala na siyang derivative, and then yung coefficient niya na function of the independent variable. In this case, that is x. And on the right-hand side, we have a term containing only the independent variable. So, ganyan po yung itsura ng standard form ng isang FOLDE, or first order linear DE. O ngayon, ano ang gusto nating gawin? Ang gusto nating gawin is isolve ang differential equation na ito. Okay, so paano natin yan gagawin? We can do that by using our concept of integrating factors. So remember, kung ang equation na ito ay hindi exact, pwede natin siyang gawing exact by multiplying it by a certain integrating factor. Remember? And for us to do that, we need to express this first into its corresponding differential form. So kung naka-differential form yan, dapat meron tayong term na dy at saka dx. So remember, this y prime is dy over dx. And kung natatandaan niyo yung ating differential form, anong itsura niyon? 'Di ba? Dapat ay mdx plus n dy equals 0. So unahin natin yung I coefficient na dx. So if I multiply both sides by dx, ang makukuha ko is ito. P of xy minus Q of x multiplied by dx. And then, yung matitira dito is yung dy. Okay, so ito na siya ngayon. P of xy minus Q of x. Yung Q of x dito, nilipat ko lang dito sa left side. And then, imumultiply natin yung buong equation ng dx. So, dito mawawala na yung dx. Tapos, yung P of xy minus qx, mamumultiply ng dx. And then, itong dy, ginawa ko lang second term dyan para magmukha siyang mdx plus n dy equals 0. So, here, itong expression na ito ang ating m at dito, yung ating n ay yung coefficient na 1. Now, assuming na siya ay hindi exact, pwede natin siyang hanapan ng integrating factor. So, do you recall kung paano kumuha ng integrating factor? Kukunin mo lang ang partial of m with respect to y, tapos ma-minusan mo ng partial of n with respect to x. So, if you remember, that's minus. Diba? So, kunin natin yung my at saka nx and then pagmaminusin natin. Ito yung m, ano ang partial derivative niya with respect to y? Yun yung my. Okay? So, if we get the partial derivative of this entire term with respect to y, I will treat this as a constant kasi x yan. So, pag kinuha ko ang derivative niya, 0 na. So, dito naman, P of xy with respect to y, ang makukuha kong derivative with respect to y is just P of x. O, diba? Ang dali lang. Next, we get the derivative of n with respect to x. But this is a constant. So, ang aking nx na makukuha ay 0. So, meron na tayong my at saka nx. Diba ang ginagawa natin, pinagmaminus natin yan. After natin pag-minusin, i-divide natin ang n. So, we will have my minus nx over n. Okay, so in this case, our my is p of x, nx is 0, and n is 1. So, this my minus nx over x would simply be equal to p of x. Yan na yung gagamitin natin para makuha yung integrating factor. Paano nga kinukuha yung integrating factor? That's e to the integral of this one. Ayan. So, since this is purely a function of x, that will be u equals e raised to the integral of p dx. Okay? So, saan nanggaling yung p dito? Actually, ito yun, no? Yung p of x, no? Dito nanggaling yan. My minus nx over n is just this. Bakit? Kasi nga my, p of x, minus nx na 0, ito pa rin yun. I-divide mo ng 1, p of x pa rin. So, this is now our f of x. Nakagamitin para makompute yung integrating factor. Remember, that is e to the integral of f of x dx. At eto na siya ngayon. E to the integral of, yung f of x natin is just this, p of x. So, para simple, ginawa ko na lang siyang p dx, no? But we know that this p is a function of x. So we have the integrating factor. So ngayon guys, ito na yung gagamitin nating integrating factor sa mga first order linear differential equation. Okay? So ngayon, ang sunod na gagawin is i-multiply mo yung original differential equation. Ito 'yon. I-multiply natin siya ng integrating factor para siya ay maging exact. So, kapag ito minultiply ko, di makakaroon dito ng u. y prime plus u times p of xy equals u times q of x. So, exact equation na yon. Gawin natin siyang naka-differential form. So, ito na lang ang imumultiply ko. So, lalagyan ko lang dito ng u. Lalagyan ko lang dito ng u. At saka ito, lalagyan ko lang din ng u. Ito na siya ngayon. So, yung u of x na nakikita natin dito, yan ang integrating factor natin. Okay? Sir, ba't di mo inilagay yung e to the integral of p dx para simpleng tingnan? Mamaya na yan. Okay? Ito na lang muna. So, itong original differential equation na ito din yon, no? Ito naka-standard form, ito ginawa ko lang siyang differential form, no? At itong differential form, minultiply ko ng integrating factor. So, ito na ngayon ay exact. Okay? At kung exact yan, then it would satisfy the test of exactness. Ano nga yung test of exactness natin? The test of exactness is the partial of m with respect to y should be equal to partial of n with respect to x. So, igrupo muna natin ha. Hanapin natin yung m at saka yung n natin. Okay? Paano ba yan? To. Pinagsama-sama natin yung terms ng multiplier ay dx. So, that's p of xy at saka q of x. Ayan. Minultiply pa rin natin, of course, ng u of x. So, ito rin yun. Ano? So, u of x, p of x, y, ito ililipat ko sa kabila, minus u of x, q of x, and then pag minultiply ko yan both sides ng dx, makakaroon siya ng multiplier na dx. At ang matitira dito, u of x, dy na lang. Kasi nga, we multiplied both sides of the equation by dx. So, this differential equation is now exact, and this is our m, and this is our n. So, pag kinuhanan natin ito ng partial derivative with respect to y, my, no? Ang makukuha natin dapat ay equal sa nx. Bakit? Kasi ito po ay exact na. Okay? Exact din na siya kasi na-multiply na natin siya ng integrating factor. Ngayon, ano ba yung my natin dito? Eh di u of x px, right? Ito naman 0. Why? Because we are differentiating with respect to y, and all of these terms are function of x na tinitreat natin as constant. Kaya ang matitira lang dyan is u of x, p of x. And on the right side, pag kinuha natin ang partial derivative, okay, hindi na partial. Bakit? Kasi kung yan ay kukunin mo ng partial with respect to x, ay purely x naman siya. Ano ba ang derivative ng function with respect to x? Kung x lang siya, hindi na partial. Standard derivative na yon. So once again, dito yung my is yung u of x, p of x. Yan. Na equal naman sa derivative dito. Hindi na partial. Again, bakit hindi partial? Because it is purely in terms of x. The derivative of u with respect to x is u prime of x. Eh ano naman ngayon nung nakuha natin yung u of x, p of x na yan na equal sa u prime of x? Pwede kasi natin itong gamitin na pang-simplify ng expression na meron tayo kanina. Now, specifically, aling expression yon? Ito, pansinin mo, itong u of x, p of x na yan, eh ito rin yun. Eh di ba ito at saka ito iisa yan? O, sige. Itong term na to at saka itong term na to, equal lang yan. So, I can replace this u of x, p of x by u prime of x. So, pwede kong i-rewrite ito. Lagyan ko dito ng asterisk ha. Ito i-rewrite natin u of xy prime plus itong u of x, p of x, gawin ko na lang u prime of x. Ito siya. Times, of course, yung y. Ito siya. And then equals u of x, p of x. O, diba? O, ano naman ngayon? O, pansinin mo, ayan no. U derivative ng y, tapos y derivative ng u. Di ba para siyang derivative of a product? Yes. So, pwede ko pala siyang isulat na derivative ng product. Derivative yan ng ano? U at saka y as a product. So, isimplify na lang natin yan as derivative, yun, derivative prime notation ng u times y. Kasi po, kapag kinuha na natin itong uy na ito, no? Kapag kinuha mo ng derivative, ang makukuha mo, u times the derivative of y plus y times the derivative of u. Diba? Ayun din siya. Okay, tapos ito copy-paste ko lang. Okay? Now, ano ba ang goal natin? Remember, our goal here is to solve for y. Kasi yun yung solution ng DE. Yun ang goal natin. Baka naliligaw ka na ngayon. Baka hindi mo na alam kung anong gagawin. We need to solve for y. And in order to do that, ano ang pangontra sa derivative? Eh the integral, so if we integrate both sides, mawawala yung derivative term dito, tapos ito makakaroon ng integral. Kaya, ang matitira sa left side ay si uy. Yan. Ay, naging u. Equals, yan, in-integrate ko lang yung right side. Okay, so ano na ang gagawin natin ngayon? Eh di, meron na tayong expression sa pagko-compute ng y. Kasi remember, ang goal natin is to solve for y. And remember, this u is our integrating factor. Yan yung integrating factor mo na e to the integral of p dx. So, pwede ko na siyang palitan ngayon. Itong u na to, papalitan ko ng e to the integral of p dx. At itong u of x na to, ito rin yun. Ano? Papalitan ko lang siya ng e to the integral of p dx. At ito yung makukuha ko. Ayan. For the general solution, we can now have this. Y e to the integral of p dx equals the integral of q e to the integral of p dx. Grabe sir, ang haba naman. Actually, mahaba lang siyang tingnan. Pero pag binasa mo, madali lang yan. Ano yan? O, madali lang. Yes, PDX equals squares PDX dex. O, di ba? So, pag tinanong ka, ano ang general solution ng isang FOLDE or first order linear DE? Ano daw? That's yes, PDX equals squares PDX dex. O, di ba? Madaling tandaan. Once again, sabay-sabay. Yes, PDX equals squares PDX dex. O, di ba? Yan ay kung ang dependent variable mo ay y at ang independent variable mo ay x. So, in case hindi y ang iyong dependent variable, papalitan mo lang siya. Or in case yung x na palitan ng ibang independent variable, papalitan mo lang din yung x dito. So, dito ano ba yung q? Yung q yung right-hand side part ng ating standard form. Okay? At ito namang p, ito siya, yung coefficient ng dependent variable mo. In our case, the dependent variable is y. So, kung ano ang coefficient ng y, yun yung p. At kung ano yung nasa right-hand side na purely in terms of the independent variable, yun yung q. So, once again, remember this. Yes, PDX equals squares PDX dex. Now, let us solve some problems para magamit natin yung yes PDX na yan. Okay, example number 1. Solve the equation y prime plus 2xy equals 6x. So, if you notice, the differential equation is already in its standard form. Ayan, naka-standard form na siya. And kung mapapansin mo, yung ating p na coefficient ng y ay 2x. 'Di ba? Ang p natin ay 2x at ang q natin ay 6x. So, kung isosolve natin yan, remember, ano nga yung format ng general solution ng isang FOLDE? That's yes, PDX. Sulat natin ha. Yes, PDX equals squares PDX dex. Okay. Saan ko ba natutunan niya? Eh di sa university president kay Dr. Ronquillo kasi siya ang prof ko sa DE when I was in college. Charot. Yan ang hindi ko makalimutan kay Sir Yes PDX. Okay? So, bago natin i-substitute yung e to the integral of PDX na medyo mahaba, isolve na agad natin siya. Ano? E to the integral of, ano ba yung P? Diba? 2x and then dx equals, kapag ito ay aking integrate, 2x squared over 2 or simply e to the x squared na lang siya. Okay? So, ano na ngayon ang tawag dyan? Ito na yung integrating factor mo na gagamitin natin sa pagsosolve ng general solution, right? So, itong e to the integral of p dx dito, papalitan mo na lang ng e to the x squared. So, I will rewrite y e to the x squared equals the integral of, ano yung q? 6x. Kopyahin mo. Ano yung integrating factor? That's e to the x squared and then dx. O, di ba? So, ngayon, i-integrate natin itong right side. Paano ba ito i-integrate? Substitution method lang. Gawin mo itong u. Diba? If I let u be equal to x squared, my du will be 2x dx. But here I have 6. Diba? But 6 is 3 times 2. So, I can express that as y e to the x squared equals 3 times, di ba? 3 times 2, no? 6. So, may matitira dyan na 2x dx e to the x squared. So, ito na lang siya. E to the u and then du. Di ba? Na pwede na natin i-integrate. Okay? Kapag na-integrate natin itong right side, ang makukuha nating sagot ay 3 times, ano ba ang integral ng e to the u? E to the u rin, di ba? E to the, kung saan ang u na ginamit natin ay x squared and then dahil nag-integrate tayo, plus c. So, we can now solve for y. Solving for y, we can divide both sides of this equation by e to the x squared. Diba? Leaving us on the left side with y And here, makakancel to. So, 3 na lang. And then, plus C. Tapos, kapag ito, ginawa nating divisor, so C divided by e to the x squared. Or kung ayaw ko siyang gawing divisor, gawin ko na lang siyang multiplier pero negative ang exponent. E to the negative x squared. O, di ba? So, ngayon, meron na akong general solution. Hindi nyo napansin, ano? Tapos na pala tayong mag-solve ng problem. Naaliw kayo dun, ano? So, this is now our general solution. O, di ba? Ang dali lang. Again, paano nga mag-solve ng isang first order linear DE? Madali lang. Yes, PDX equals SQS PDX DX. Di ba? Ang dali lang. Charot. Okay. So, if ever may initial condition na given, makukuha mo lang mo yung value ng C. Di ba? So, may makukuha kang particular solution. But since wala, general solution lang ang ating makukuha. Okay? O, sige. Let us solve the second example. Solve y prime plus y cot x equals x. Ay! Nahuli mo na naman si x. I caught my x. So, again, pansinin mo ang ating differential equation ay nasa kanya ng standard form. 'Di ba? So, dahil standard form yan, ano ang ating P? Sulat natin. Our P is yung coefficient ng y, which is cotangent of x. Diba? And here, our Q is this, x. Yan. Let us again write down the solution, y e to the integral of p dx. Yes, p dx equals s squares p dx dx. And next, kunin natin yung integrating factor na e to the integral of p dx, e to the integral of cotangent of x dx. Shit, patay ka ngayon. Ano ang integral ng cotangent of x? Patay ka ngayon. Kung hindi mo na natatandaan, edi mag-substitution method ka hanggang sa makuha mo ang sagot, ln of sin x. Okay? And e to the ln of sin x is simply equal to sin x. So, meron na tayong integrating factor. 'Di ba? So, lahat dito na e to the integral of p dx, papalitan mo lang ng sin x. Y multiplied by sin x equals the integral of x. Shit! Yung q ko ay x. And then, sin x dx. Shit! Tingnan mo yung right hand side, 'di ba? Pag pinansin mo 'yan, marirealize mo na ikaw pala ay mag-integration by parts. Kasi yan ay product ng dalawang magkaibang functions, x at saka sin x. So hindi tatablayan ng pangkaraniwang substitution. Kailangan mong mag-integration by parts. Paano nga mag-integration by parts? Meron tayong gagawing u. Ito yung gagawin natin na u, yung x. Tapos etong sin x dx, yan yung dv natin. 'Di ba? Paano nga mag-integrate ng u dv? The integral of u dv equals uv minus the integral of v du. So, pag in-integrate natin itong x sin x dx, ang makukuha nating sagot ay yung u, which is x. V, yung v ay integral nito. Integral ng dv. Integral ng sin is negative. Negative cosine of x minus v, ito rin yun, negative cosine of x. Nakalimutan ko integral. Integral of v. Yan. And then du. Kung saan ang du ay dx. So, let us now rewrite this. Okay, y. Kopyahin ko lang to ha. Ayan. Y sin x. Bakit sin x? Kasi nga po, y sin x equals uv, ito yon, negative x cosine x minus plus. At ang integral ng cosine ay sin x and then plus c. So kung ayaw mo naman mag-integration by parts, actually ito ay laging example sa integral calculus. Sa topic na integration by parts, ito usually ay example. At nung ako ang nagturo ng integral calculus, sinabi ko na sa mga estudyante ko na sa uluhin yan, ha? Kaya kung hindi nyo na sa ulo, ayan, nag-integration by parts ulit tayo, review. But again, I highly recommend na inyong i-memorize na yan. Ang integral ng x sin x dx ay negative x cosine x plus sin x plus c. O ngayon, pwede na natin isolve yung y para makuha natin yung general solution by dividing both sides of the equation by sin x. Ay, anong matitira dito sa right side? Kapag ang cosine, dinivide ko ng sin, di ba cotangent yon? So, negative x times the cotangent of x. And then, plus sine over, sine is 1, plus c over sine. Okay? Pero yung c, di ba? C over sine, yun ay 1 over sine eh. Di ba? Ano ba ang 1 over sine x? Di ba cosecant? So that is c multiplied by the cosecant of x. O, di ba? So this is now our general solution. Para magandang tingnan, unahin natin ay positive na term. Ito na lang 1, no? 1 minus x cotangent x plus the arbitrary constant c times the cosecant of x. So we now have our general solution. Okay? Di ba? Ang dali lang, no? Paano nga sinosolve ulit? Ang mga folde, yes pdex equals squares pdex dex. Okay, example number 3 na tayo. Di ba? Dali lang, sobrang dali. Solve the equation y prime plus y tangent t equals sin 2t. Ay! So, this is an initial value problem kasi meron tayong y of 0 equals 1. Okay? So, ang makukuha nating solution dito ay isang function lamang. Bakit? Kasi po, may given condition. So, dapat meron tayong makukuhang particular solution. No? Now, is this in standard form? Yes. Okay. Pero kahit na yan ay naka-standard form, pansinin mo ang dependent variable ay y. Diba? So, the dependent variable is y and the independent variable is now t instead of x. Now, what is our p? P is the multiplier or coefficient of the dependent variable. So, ang multiplier ng dependent variable na y ay tangent t. Yan. Tan t. Tant. At yun namang q ay ito, sin 2t. Okay, so how do we solve this problem? Again, yes pdex. Ay, pero hindi na pwedeng yes pdex kasi nga po, hindi na x yung ating dependent variable. So, lahat ng x, gagawin mo lang t. So, magiging, yung yes pdex ay magiging yes pdet. Diba? Yes pdet equals squares pedet-det. Okay. Now, let us solve for the integrating factor e to the integral of p dt. E to the integral of our p is tangent t dt. Ano ba ang integral ng tangent of t? Kung nare-recall mo, that's negative ln of cosine t. Kung hindi mo naman matandaan, again, mag-substitution method ka. Gawin mo siyang in terms of sine and cosine. Tapos, ang makukuha mo ito rin, negative ln of cosine t. Itong negative 1 dito na multiplier, pwede kong gawing exponent ng dito para maging cosine t to the negative 1 yan. Or rather, 1 over cosine t. Diba? So, I can write this as e to the ln of the entire cosine t raised to the negative 1. Diba? Kung saan, yung e at ln ay magka-cancel. Kaya, ang ating integrating factor na if, ito yon ay cosine t raised to negative 1 or simply 1 over cosine t. So, gamitin na natin tong pang-substitute sa e to the integral of p dt. So, y times this is y over cosine t equals the integral of q. Q is sin 2t times, so magiging 1 over cosine t. And then, dt. Okay. So, paano natin ito i-integrate? Aha, aha. So, magkaiba sila eh. Ito 2t, ito t. But we can recall an identity in trigonometry that sine 2t is equal to 2 sine t cosine t, right? With the use of that trigonometric identity, pwede ko itong i-rewrite. Y over cosine t equals the integral of 2 sine t cosine t over cosine t dt. Kung saan, makikita natin na magka-cancel yung cosine t. Diba? At ang natira na lang is yung sine t. Madali nang i-integrate yan. Ano ba ang integral ng sine? Diba? Negative of cosine. So here, I will get y over cosine t. Kinopya ko lang yon equals 2 times, ang integral ng sine is negative cosine t. And then, plus c. Ayan. So, to get y, I can just multiply both sides of the equation by cosine t. So, y is now equal to negative 2 cosine squared t plus c times cosine t. So, this is now our general solution. However, since we are given an initial condition, y of 0 equals 1, which means that when x is 0, y is 1. We will use this condition to solve for the value of the arbitrary constant. I'm sorry, hindi pala x kasi nga ang variable natin ay t. So when t is 0, y is 1. So palitan natin ha, yung y gawin kong 1. At dito lahat ng t ay gawin kong 0. So dito may makukuha akong negative 2. Cosine of 0 is 1. So, negative 2 na lang. And then, plus c. Kasi cosine of t is 1. Okay? So, obviously, from this equation, the value of c equals 3. Ayan. So, ito, lagay ko lang doon. Meron akong particular solution. Diba? Okay. So, here is now the particular solution of the initial value problem. Unahin ko na yung term na positive. Ito. So, 3 cosine t minus, ito siya, 2 cosine squared t. Okay? So, this is now my particular solution. This is the solution of this given initial value problem. Now, if ever, halimbawa, sinabi sa'yo, ano daw ang y of 4? O, di makukuha mo na yan. Anong ibig sabihin ng y of 4? Kapag ang t ay equal sa 4, so lahat ng t dito gagawin mong 4, makukompute mo na ngayon yung value ng y. Okay, so in this case, wala namang gano'n na tanong. So hanggang dyan na lang ang ating makukuhang sagot. But then again, kapag may bukod sa y of 0, may isa pang binigay. Halimbawa, yan, y of 4 or y of 2 or y of 5, may makukuha kang numerical value ng y. Okay? O, sige, example number 4. Solve the equation v dx plus the quantity 2x plus 1 minus vx dv equals 0. So, this time, ang variable natin ay v at saka x. And obviously, the equation is in the differential form. Hindi siya naka-standard form. So, gawin muna natin siyang standard form. Magagawa ba natin ito na linear? Okay. If this is linear, linear in what kaya ito? Pag dinivide ko siya ng v, ang makukuha ko dx. So, dx over dv. Pag ang ginawa ko namang divisor ay ito, ang makukuha ko dv over dx. So, alin doon ang mas madali? Actually, ganito yan eh. Kapag ang ginawa mong divisor ay yung mas mahaba, mas komplikado yun. Mas komplikado kasi mahaba yung denominator. Eh, di ba kapag ang denominator isang term lang, lahat ng nasa numerator, pwede mong paghiwa-hiwalayin, tapos iisa lang yung denominator niya. O, di ba? That makes sense. So, gawin natin ito yung denominator niya. Kaya may makukuha tayong derivative na dx over dv. Okay? So, dividing both sides of the equation by v and dv, may makukuha tayong dx over dv plus, etong buong term na to, 2x plus 1 minus vx divided by v. And then, wala na. Okay. Equal 0. Kasi nga, nag-divide tayo both sides ng dv. Okay. So, ito na lang yung matitira dyan. Now, here, what is our dependent variable? Okay. The dependent variable, as we can see, is x. Tapos, ang independent variable ay v. So, paano natin isusulat yung FOLDE kung ang dependent variable ay x at ang independent variable ay v? So, first term yung derivative, dx over dv plus p of, di ba kanina p of x? Ang x ang independent variable. So, dito ang independent variable ay v, kaya magiging p of v times the dependent variable x equals, yung nasa right hand side, yun yung term na may independent variable, right? Independent variable. So, q of v. Now, dapat maisulat natin in this form ang differential equation na ito, right? So, dapat makakuha tayo ng term na magkasama ang v at x. Ito yon, v at x, v at x. Rewrite ko lang ha, dx over dv plus yung p of v times x is ito yon, 2x over v at saka negative vx over v. So, ang common factor niya is x, right? So, dapat meron tayo dyang 2 minus v over v times the dependent variable x equals yung purely in terms of the independent variable. So, yung 1 over v, lilipat ko sa kabila. So, magiging negative 1 over v. Ayan. So, dito, klaro na ang ating p is yung multiplier ng dependent variable na x, which is 2 minus v over v. And here, q is negative 1 over v. Next is to get the integrating factor. Ano nga ang integrating factor natin? E to the integral of p. Yan. So, 2 minus v over v dv equals e raised to 2. Ano ba yan? 2 over v dv, pag in-integrate ko is 2 ln of v. And then, minus v over v is 1. No? So, integral of dv is just v. Ayan. Na ito, pwede naman nating isimplify. Kasi itong 2 na to, pwede kong gawing exponent ng v. So, magiging e to the ln of v squared minus v. So, itong e to the ln of v squared, di ba, magka-cancel yung e at saka ln. So, ang matitira na lang dyan is v squared. Tapos, dito may matitirang e raised to negative v. Yan, e raised to negative v. So, this is now our integrating factor. Nagagamitin natin in place of e to the integral of, ano nga yun? Sulat muna natin ha, yung y, papalitan natin ng x, e to the integral of p dv equals integral of q, e to the integral of p dv dv. So, ito, ang ating integrating factor, papalitan na natin ng v squared e to the negative v. So, v squared e to the negative v equals sa integral of q. Kung saan ang q ay negative 1 over v. Ayan, kopyahin mo lang, 1 over v, negative, times v squared e to the negative v dv. So, may magka-cancel na term, yung v at saka yung v doon. So, may matitirang isang v. Okay, si ate v. So, x v squared e to the negative v equals negative of the integral of. So, v, may matitirang isang v doon, e to the negative v dv. Ayan. So, na-realize mo na naman na mag-integration by parts ka dito. Diba? So, gawin natin ito yung ating u. Diba? Tapos, ito yung dv. Diba? Ano nga ang integral ng u dv? That's u. Wait, sulat ko lang to ha. X v squared e to the negative v equals. Ano ang integral niyan? uv. So, u is v. Tapos v, which is the integral of this expression. Ano bang integral niyan? Eh di negative e to the negative v. Ayan, minus the integral of v du. Ito yung v ko, kokopyahin ko lang din. Negative e to the negative v. And then du, which is dv. So, now, simplify na natin ito. X v squared e to the negative v equals negative of v e to the negative v. Minus minus is plus. Pero kapag in-integrate mo yung e to the negative v, ang sagot doon, negative e to the negative v pa rin. Lalagyan ko lang ng plus c. Di ba? So, sulat natin yung sagot dito ha. Rewrite natin. We have x v squared e to the negative v equals negative v e to the negative v minus uli. Minus e to the negative v plus c. Ayan. So, kung gusto mong isolve yung dependent variable na x, pwede rin naman. Or, i-divide mo na lang both sides ng e to the negative v. Ayan. So, if we divide both sides by e to the negative v, ang matitira dito, negative v minus, ito divided by itself, magiging 1. Diba? Plus, ito, si i-divide ko ng e to the negative v. Kapag ang e to the negative v nasa denominator, pwede ko siyang gawing e to the v na lang. Diba? Kasi itataas ko siya. Okay? Next. Pwedeng ito na yung sagot mo. No? Pwedeng ito na. Para simple lang. Isang line lang. Or kung gusto mo naman, express your answer in terms of v. X is equal to. So, negative. Ito yon v plus 1 over v squared. And then, plus c times v squared e raised to v. Ayan. Kaso nga lang, since dinivide natin ng v squared yung equation, dapat ito ay 2. Ayan. Pangit tingnan. Sulat ko dito ha. X equals negative of v plus 1 over v squared plus c v to the negative 2 e raised to v. Ayan. So, this is now our general solution. Okay? Madali lang yan. Madali lang. Yes, PDEX lang yan. Kapag ang x at y napalitan ng variable, papalitan mo lang din yung y at x dun sa yes, PDEX. Okay? So now let us solve the last and final example for linear differential equations. Example number 5. Solve the IVP. dx over dt plus 2x equals 4 cosine 3t. Ay, hindi pa siya natapos doon. Find x of 2 daw. Palitan ko na lang yan, ha? Gawin ko na lang x of 0 equals 2. Kasi initial. And then, halimbawa, find x of 2. Yan. Okay? Inayos ko na. Sige. So, here, the dependent variable is x and the independent variable is t. Ano ang ating p? Ano ang multiplier ng dependent variable na x? Constant siya, 2. Sir, parang ang dali niya na, constant lang. You'll see later kung talagang madali siya. Yung q naman is ito, yung nasa right hand side. So, 4 cosine 3t. And remember, what is our general solution? Yes, PDEX. Okay, pero papalitan natin yung y, gagawin nating x. No? At yung x, gagawin nating t. So, x, yes, PDET, equals, squares PDET det. Yan, squares PDET det. Now, let us solve for the integrating factor e raised to the integral of, ano yung p natin? 2 dt. Ayan. So, this is just e raised to 2t. O, diba? Ayan. Ito yung integrating factor natin. Substitute na natin doon. X e to the 2t equals the integral of, yung q ko ay 4 cosine 3t times the integrating factor e raised to 2t dt. So, ang i-integrate natin is, shit! Nawindang ka na naman kasi na-realize mong mag-i-integration by parts ka na naman. Kung natatandaan ninyo, yan ay dati ko pang ipinamemorize sa integral calculus kasi nga gamit na gamit yan sa DE. Ano ang integral ng e to the ax and then cosine bx dx? Diba? May ganyan. That's e to the ax over a squared plus b squared times a. Kung cosine, una pa rin yung cosine. Cosine bx, pag cosine plus, pag sine minus. A dito, b naman. No? Kung kanina cosine, sine naman. B sine bx pa rin, plus c. Now, papalitan lang natin yung x. Gagawin lang natin siya na t kasi ang independent variable natin ay t. So, x e to 2t equals yung 4, ilalabas ko na yon. Tapos dito, ang ating exponential ay e to the 2t. So, ayun, e raised to 2t over a squared plus b squared. Ang a ay 2, so a squared is 4 plus, ang b natin is 3, so b squared is 9. Ayan. And then, a is 2 cosine 3t plus b naman. So, 3 sine 3t. Ayan. And then, plus c. So, ito na ngayon yung ating integral. So, we can solve for x. And that x can be obtained by dividing both sides of the equation by the exponential e to the 2t. Ayan. So, dito may matitirang 4 over 13. Right? 4 over 13 times, mawawala na to kasi magka-cancel pag nag-divide ka. 2 cosine 3t plus 3 sine 3t plus c divided by e to the 2t or e to the negative 2t na lang. Sa halip na lagyan ko ng denominator, ginawa ko na lang sa numerator pero negative yung exponent. Ayan, so ito ang general solution. Pero ang sabi niya, x of 0 daw ay 2. So that means that when t is 0, x is 2. So, itong x na to, papalitan ko siya ng 2. At lahat ng t dito, papalitan ko ng 0. So, ito, hindi magzi-0. Okay? So, 4 over 13 times 2. Bakit? Kasi cosine of 0 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. So, itong term naman na ito, magzi-0 na siya. Plus, e to the 0 is 1. So, c. Okay? So, from this, we can solve for c, which is 2 minus 8 over 13. Di ba ang sagot dito, yung 2, pwedeng 26 over 13. 26 minus 8 is 16. So, that is 16. Ay, mali, not 16. 28 minus 8 is 18. Sorry. 18 over 13. So, this is now the value of the arbitrary constancy. Okay, so makakakuha na tayo ngayon ng particular solution. X of t equals 4 over 13 times this 2 cosine 3t plus 3 sine of 3t plus, ito yon 18 over 13e raised to negative 2t. So, this is now our solution. Pero ang sabi, find x of 2. Ayan. Bukod sa particular solution, since ang sabi niya, ano daw ang x of 2, hanapin mo ang value ng x kapag ang t ay 2. So, that means that when t equals 2, solve for the value of x. Gagawin natin lahat ng t dito, gagawin ko lang 2. At isosolve ko siya. Pag ginawa mo yan sa calculator, and take note, pag nag-compute ka sa calculator, dapat naka-radian yan. Kasi when you are getting the sine and cosine of something, dapat yun ay naka-radian. So, take note, para hindi ka magkamali, dapat ang calcu mo ay naka-radian mode. O, pindot sa calcu. And let the value of t here be equal to 2. So, ang sagot sa calcu ay 0.358. Ayan. So, meron na tayo ngayon numerical answer. Yan. Di ba? Dali lang. So, pagdating natin sa Module 3, ituturo ko sa inyo kung ano yung meaning ng part na ito ng sagot. No? Yung part na yan ng sagot, yan ang tinatawag natin na steady state response. At ito yung part na tinatawag naman na transient response. Okay? So, since we're done solving linear differential equations, bibigyan ko kayo ng problem na pwede nyong isolve at pagpraktisan. And you can comment below your answers. Pwede nyong i-comment dyan sa baba ang inyong mga sagot dito. So, solve this equation, y prime plus y equals sin x. So, this is an initial value problem. Ang y of pi daw ay equals sa 1. So, dapat ang makukuha mo ditong sagot is y of x is equal to something na walang arbitrary constant. Solving niyo yung sagot, you can pause this video or if you want, you can rewind to the portion kung saan medyo nabilisan ka or medyo nalabuan ka. And remember, hindi pwedeng hindi mo sasagutan ang example or exercise problem na ito. Okay? You need to do this para sa kinabukasan. Okay? Sige, bye! See you in my next video.